I mean, in some of the state schools, because when we talk about affordability,
Well, now,
it's almost like that is the only option,
Yeah.
right? Because when a person fills out a FAFSA, let's say they're a middle class family, and they bring in 150,000.
well, we call it the sticky middle.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
people who parents are in that middle class,
Yeah.
they fill out the FAFSA, right? Because in order to even get a student loan,
Right.
you have to fill that out first. They'll tell you they're giving you $900 a semester,
Right.
but the tuition is
Yep.
$8,000 or $15,000 a semester. There's a gap there,
Yeah.
and so this is when now it's like, if I want to go to the school, the options are I got to come up with this money or take out private loans. And so is your suggestion, all right, maybe if it's 15,000, this isn't the place for me? Yeah. No,
So unpopular opinion, and
Yeah.
we'll see how these comments go. I'm going to stand on don't go.
Mm-hmm.
Because, see, you got to remember, we're taking calls every day
Yeah.
from people who are crying over decisions that they made 10, 20 years ago that weren't wise.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, you should hear how these parents are talking about their kids. Like, you can hear them going to another room, or let's say the kids are grown now and she ain't even finished, and now she want to be a bartender, and so now even Parent Plus loans are like the bane of our existence, because it's like the worst federal loan possible.
What's a Parent Plus?
So Parent Plus loans is when a parent gets involved and takes out money on behalf of their child, but the interest rate is 8%, and they only have one income-driven repayment plan. Instead of it being like a 5% margin like we talked about, it's 20%. It's just the worst plan. It's literally like a private loan. Again, it's just protected in things of like a pandemic, right? But to hear the calls that we take, like somebody, this is true story. But I was so happy he just got forgiven. He had $300,000 in Parent Plus loans. He had 3 kids that went to Ivy League educations. He's a doctor, so he thought that I can do it because I'm a doctor. Look, they might want to be doctors, right? But the bill was on him. So you know me. I was like, well, are they doctors? Because these are older. That's why he got them forgiven. He was like, no. I'm like, what do they do? And then he was like, you don't want to know. One is only making $30,000 a year because he's a numbers guy. He's making $350,000 a year. He owes $300,000. I think he had like $50,000 his own, so let's say $350,000. But his kids are making less than $100,000. This was not a good investment. But we can't say to our kids, "You failed me." Like they can change their minds.
My parents had a Parent Plus loan.
Okay.
Thankfully, it wasn't for
How they
as much.
doing? They all right?
Yeah, they got. I mean, so the first 2 years I went to school, again, FAFSA was like $900,
Right.
and there was that gap. So rather than trying to take a private loan, we did the Parent Plus loan, and it kind of eased the gap. But then the final 2 years, it was like I did it private because I didn't want to put more debt on top
them. That was
of
nice
my
of you.
parents. I've always been thinking about my family.
Yeah.
And so, but again, those interest rates, they climb, and when you do private, like you said, it could be anything. It could be
One thing.
you didn't pay, like you said, your Macy's card.
Oh, yeah.
And now the interest rate that started
From
at 5% can go to like 11%.
I seen somebody go from 9% to 19.9. You know how much of a difference that makes?
It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy. So, I mean, for young adults who are 16, 17, 18, well, 17, 18, about to go to college, and I know it doesn't sound sexy, but community college, probably the safest and most financially
I'm okay
sane
with
route.
state colleges.
State colleges.
I'm okay for you to go where you want to go if somebody else can help pay in terms of a scholarship. And then the other thing is, I think this is where parents and those that are going to be parents that are watching this show have to understand that there is still accountability there. Like, for example, what does Scholarship Sunday look like at your house if your child is in high school? You're probably like, well, we don't do Scholarship Sunday. We're going to start. So meaning you have to sit down with your child and say, in junior year, not really senior, but more so junior year, what scholarships are we thinking about applying for? Like, did you write that essay? Can I read it for you? Because if we don't push our children to apply and we're not in that as a partner with them, it will fall back on you as mom or dad.
Or take them to the park.
And the thing that we see that we're most...
Get a wicked jump shot.
Right. and if your child don't have no skills like that, then hopefully they're academic.
Yeah.
Right? Like for example, I knew I wasn't going to get no sports scholarship. That's, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
But I'm smart. Okay. So my mom got really, really sick my junior year. Like, she almost died. So we had a plan. The plan was, she was making at that time, it's just me and her, I'm only child, about $65,000 a year back in the 2000s. That's pretty okay. she was going to send me to a state college, and her plan was she was going to make payments for the difference of whatever I didn't receive from FAFSA, right? That was our plan. We had a plan. Well, when she got sick and lost her hearing, she had to retire early as a teacher. The plan is now gone. So I was like, but the plan ain't here to stay in Philly. So I had to do what? Apply for every scholarship known to man. I can remember the day I knocked on my principal's door, and I was like, whatever scholarships I can be considered for, I need to be considered. They all knew what was happening with my mom. I went to a small high school. So on graduation day, I left with $17,000 in scholarships. Probably. When I got to school, it didn't stop. Somebody still got to pay for this. I knocked on every door. There was before websites, and I'm not that old, but I just knew. I think people know you better. On every dean's door, I'm not making this up, had my sneakers on that day. And I wound up, by the end of the day, I was able to apply for a full ride. So I got that. Oh, but don't stop there, because you need pocket money. Remember, my mom is now not working. She's deaf. I got to send money home now because I'm a responsible college student. Now I got to get the scholarship for the books. So if it was a flyer that said, tell us about a traumatic experience you've overcome to go to college, I've got several. I'm from Philly. So I wrote that up and sent that in. I got that $250. Like, when I tell you, if you talk too loud about a scholarship, I probably took your scholarship. Like, I had to graduate. Yeah. So when I meet students and parents that don't have that dog or that understanding, I'm like, you got to have some money tucked aside, because it went from my mom with a game plan to us having to rely on my grandmother, who was a retired school teacher. Her retirement probably paid $40,000. 3 people on $40,000 is not going to put somebody through college. No. Even after that little loan they give you, my mommy had no credit. Again, she's not working. So it was just so much. I remember that experience. So when I talk to students, like if I go to a high school, for example, or I'm speaking to a freshman class in college, I'm going to give you my story, because something has to change. Somebody or something has to pay for this experience if you want it to be whatever you want it to be. That student loan debt you're about to leave with, life in the 20s and 30s aren't going to be as fun as you think so.